So welcome everyone from near and far. This is Brigitta on her birthday, 29 all over again. Over and over and over and over. I feel like Groundhog Day on my birthday. But I told my girls, I said, look, the whole 29 all over again, that gets old. I'll just take 31 because that was a good age too. So I'll take that one over and over again. So welcome everyone that's tuned in person and everyone that is listening to the recording. Today actually is, yes, my birthday, August 29th, Virgo, rock and roll. And I'm going to make it short and sweet, but boy, you better listen, and you better listen carefully because I have things to give away today. And whoever the quickest people are, and if you're listening to the recording, you're probably already lost. So that's what you get for tuning in person. So everyone buckle up, right? Woohoo! I hear some clapping and laughter in the back here. I think my kids are playing something downstairs. But I am dialing in directly from my very own office, and if you here in Atlanta. So if you have followed me on my webinars the past many few months, you first of all see that there is less clutter back there. Welcome. So less clutter back here, and it will become even lesser clutter. Thank God you can't see what's over on this side. No, just kidding. But I'm a big and firm believer of the less clutter you have around you in your workspace, especially, anywhere else that you live, but also in your workspace, the clearer you can think and the more strategic you can plan on everything that you do. So bit by bit, it's getting less. I got to, kind of pat myself on the shoulder, let some stuff go. This past weekend, just put it on my El Camino and drove it over to the yard sale, and someone actually still gave me $15 for my junk. So more power to them. I love when it's a win-win situation, and that's what we're all about today. So listen tightly, listen carefully, have something to write on and write with. And for all of you that are revisiting my webinars, my plate will come out soon out of my hand. I can move my fingers. I still have, somewhat of have you ever been to those Chinese restaurants where they have that waving cat? Have you ever seen those waving cats that just kind of have that one arm? That's how I feel because I can't really use my wrist, but I feel like that waving cat. So anyway, I'd rather make fun of myself before other people make fun of me, and they do it all the time. So it's all cool. All right. So before we get started, and we're going to get started today is all about people before profit. And guess what? There's a science behind my genius. Oh, by the way, if you are, I'd love to keep you unmuted because I feed off of your energy greatly. But if you do have a noisy background, that's not including me, then please mute yourself. But before we get into people before profit, and there is a science behind all of the rapport building that I'm doing right now with you, telling you stories, making me more of a person, making me more relatable to you guys. Hey, Kendrick, good to see you. Rock and roll over to Vegas. That is what I'm doing right now, is really just modeling. I'm modeling to you, how do we start a conversation? How do we go into any sort of meeting, or how do we start a sales conversation? Not just kind of go in and just beat the person with whatever you have over their head. That's how you not close a deal. So how do you close a deal, and how do you really put people before profit and put your, how do you say in the States, you put your money where your mouth is, all right? So before I get fully started into this, I have one little more thing to share, and you probably just see this completely upside down and in mirror writing. But I'm going to read it to you because it means something very special to me. My daughter came home from school, and she made this in school on construction paper because orange is one of my favorite colors. And she says, Alles Gute zum Geburtstag, Mama. Happy birthday to you, Mama. You are the best mama ever. And she calls me Mama because that's the German way of saying mom. And I'm kind of translating this because she wrote it in German. She says, you're the best mama ever. You're the dopest. And she did write dope in English. You're the dopest mama ever. You're the most stylish mama ever. You sometimes can embarrass me too. And I still love you. I love her for that. 46 is the best number ever. Probably P-R-O-L-L-Y, probably because you and Dad are now the same age. Thanks for pointing this out. This is not a bad thing, she writes. Ich liebe dich so arg. I love you so much. And then she writes, she has the moon over here somewhere. Here's the moon. And then she has 160, whatever, how many zeros that is, from the moon to the earth. That's how much she loves me, from the moon and back. And then at the very bottom, she writes, you the bomb diggity. I love it. You the bomb diggity. I love being the bomb diggity. So there we go. Happy birthday to me. And you will all benefit from me having a birthday today. Well, all of you that are the quickest, and I will go through that here in a second. But the reason why we gathered today was for you to understand how do you put people before profit. And this is not, I repeat, not going to be a lecture. This is all about us becoming very aware of the different lenses we are wearing with the different people that we are familiar with. And I'm putting these glasses on, and you might pay attention to the colors of the glasses. The first one was blue. The second one was actually yellow. I'm not putting them on in the correct sequence, if you will. The third one was red, and the fourth one is green. So what do these all represent? I'm going to go into that here in just a second. But before I go into that, I want to point one thing out. And you've heard this over and over. And if you're in network marketing or if you're in any kind of business, you heard, and you might watch this in some movies too, that in order to get more yeses, in order to close more deals, you need to get more what? No. The lines are open. No's. No. Well, So in order to put more water into a cup, I need to fill less water in? That just makes no sense. In order to get more yeses, I truly need to get more what?
Yeses.
Yeses. Yeah. It just makes, that's just common sense, right? So in order for me to close more deals, in order for me to have a better closing rate, I first have to get more yeses. So how do I get more yeses? Well, I got to build rapport better with people, and I got to enroll them in whatever it is that I'm talking to them about. So when I hear in sales conversations that was my daughter. Hello.
Sorry.
You're okay. So in order to close a deal, sorry, she just distracted me. That's okay. In sales conversations, you have you always hear that sales is a what? What kind of game?
Numbers.
A numbers game. Well, let me see here. I want to say it was Brian Tracy. Yeah, it was Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy said that sales is not a numbers game. It's actually a people's game. Because if it's one person, me, speaking to another person, it is a people's game first. It then can become a numbers game. And that's where our different personalities really come in. All right. So I'm going to go right into it. Hippocrates, back 2,500 or I don't know how many years ago, has put it very, very clearly. Has put humanity in 4 different personality types. How many?
4.
4. So that's nothing new. That is as old as humanity, is as old as the days, and he has based his studies around medicine on that. And after that, after Hippocrates, many people, many assessment tools have built on that. One of the very large assessment tools are DISC. Anyone familiar with DISC? DISC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've worked with DISC, and I have done my DISC assessment, and for some of my employees and people that I've worked with, team members, many years ago. I still have my DISC assessment, and sometimes I still go back and I still go, huh? It's very thorough. It took me forever to fill out the assessment. That's a good thing. And it gave me a stack of information back on who I am and how I handle things, how I do business, how I react emotionally and in personal life, and so on and so forth. So when I say, and you have seen it in my webinar marketing and presentation, when I say bank on people before profit, I am talking about the BANK. It doesn't necessarily, BANK, that's 4, not 3, 4, BANK. That doesn't stand for a credit institution or a financial facility. That means banking on your personality and banking on your knowledge that you can close greater deals, better deals, to up to 300% more deals. 300%, you say, Brigitta, that's a lot. Okay, so let me speak to that here in a second. So let's take DISC, right? We have DISC, D-I-S-C. We have Myers-Briggs, and we have the jewels and the sharks and the whales and the colors, whatever else of other assessment tools that are out there. And then we have bank. So, don't mind my funky hand. We have bank, but I can do it now. If you've seen my webinars a few weeks ago, you'd really laugh because I couldn't do anything with my hand. So we have bank and DISC or Myers-Briggs or whatever the others are. They're exactly the same because they are concentrated and based on Hippocrates, only completely different. And here's the difference. With all of the other assessments that are out there, well, A, they take a long time. You can't really make money, but they're great assessments. And it's based on the exact same thing that I'm about to share with you. All right. So we have a little secret, and I don't know where I put my cryptex. I had it the other day at my last webinar, and now I can't. See, that's what happens when you have stuff laying around on your desk. Well, it's probably somewhere under here, and I can't reach it. I'll just think of a cryptex. Anyone know what a cryptex is? It's from the Da Vinci Code. It's a little tool. Shoot, where do I have mine? It went somewhere. Well, we'll take it as is. It's a little device from the Da Vinci Code that you have to put the letters in sequence or the code in sequence in order to open the cryptex and to get the secret message out of the cryptex. If you do not use the correct code, what happens? Anyone know?
Doesn't ink, the ink does something to whatever's inside?
Vinegar.
Yeah, there's
vinegar.
Exactly. There's a vinegar solution inside, and if you crack the code incorrectly, the vinegar releases and it destroys the roll with the secret message inside, right? So think of a sales scenario, or a scenario where you talk to someone and you really wanted them to understand your side. You really wanted to sell them something, or maybe it was your spouse or your partner, and you really wanted to bring an idea across, and you totally took the wrong approach. You did not speak their language, and you might have spoken English, and your spouse might have spoken English as well, but the message did not come across. You literally did not use the correct code, and you tried to open the cryptex, and the vinegar just went boom, and everything was just upside down. It just went completely south. Anyone ever experienced that in any situation, with your spouse, in a sales conversation, anywhere? I know I have. And guess what? We only have what? We have one chance. Maybe we have 2 chances if we're talking to our grandma, maybe. But we usually have 1 chance, especially if we don't have rapport yet with these people. So, Brigitta, what's the point you're making? Here's the point that I'm making. When we understand where we're coming from, I'm going to make this an I statement. When I understand in which code I communicate in, then I can adapt my communication to the other person only when I understand where the other person is operating in and communicating in. So let me go through that a little bit deeper. Just like I said earlier, BANK stands for blueprint, action, nurture, and knowledge. So blueprint, action, nurture, and knowledge. Pay close attention. I'm going to hold this in the camera, but you probably won't be able to read it because it's mirror image. So the blueprints, I'm going to read this. The blueprints, according to the bank methodology, operate in a very specific value-based values. And they're based on values, okay? Let me read those values. They're 12 values: stability, structure, systems, planning, processes, predictability, responsibility, duty, rules, credentials, titles, and tradition. Those are the values of a blueprint. Action. The action values are as follows: freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action, opportunity, excitement, attention, stimulation, competition, winning, fun, and image. Nurturers. Relationships, authenticity, personal growth, significance, teamwork, involvement, community, charity, ethics, harmony, morality, and contribution. And last but not very least, the values of a knowledge: learning, intelligence, logic, self-mastery, technology, research and development, science, universal truths, expertise, competence, accuracy, and the big picture. Now, are we all four of them somewhere within us? Absolutely. Absolutely we are. However, there is one dominant code that we come from. In my case, I know this might be shocking to some of you, I'm a high action, all right? I'm a ready, fire, aim, go-getter. You know, my word is just, I can bulldoze over people in a heartbeat. For me to understand that I'm in action is one part of the whole methodology, but it's really not about me. Say, it's really not about me.
It's really not about me.
Yeah. It is all about the person, the other person, the person that I'm talking to. My spouse, my children, my business partner, my employees, the person that I'm building rapport with, the potential client, the customer, whoever that is. So it's all about them. It is not about me. So let me draw a scenario here real quick. Brigitta is going to, in her action style, going to go into a sales meeting, and I am meeting with a high knowledge person, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to say, you know what, Tom, this is the biggest deal we're ever going to do together. We're going to make millions of dollars, and we're going to both get rich and buy us a yacht, and going to go to the French Riviera and going to drink champagne all day long, and yada, yada, yada. Well, I already lost Tom so badly because I did not give him any facts. I did not share any information with him. I did not give him any research. I didn't give him the white paper to read even more information on what I'm about to tell him. I gave him nothing. I just completely bulldozed over Tom in my action style. So I lost that deal. If I would have spoken to a high action, I probably would have gotten the sale. That is, if we look at all of the four codes as a 400%, because each code represents 100%, and I am only talking in one code, I'm leaving out how many percent? 300. If I only speak to the people that are only action, I'm missing 3 out of 4. I will not make as many deals as I could. And that is the first step in all of this is the awareness. Becoming aware that the way that I communicate with people that I do business with, that I have a relationship with, maybe business or romantic or whatever, that the way I communicate is not going to work that way. So the secret really is, the secrets to the whole science is, don't make the mistake that I used to make in my business and only operate in my dominant code, but learn what are the other codes, what turns them on, and what turns them off. Here's a fun little fact. My husband's a high K. I'm a high A. What turns A's on usually turns K's off. Now, in relationships, you also say opposites attract, right? Well, that is true for the first few years until all of that butterfly and, purple, pink hearts flying around everywhere. Once that wears off, this can go this very quickly. There's my husband in the background. However, when I understand where the other person is coming from, then I know what turns them on and I know what turns them off. And guess what? We can become even closer. But it starts with that becoming aware. It starts with that knowledge of, even as a high action, I want to have that knowledge of wanting to know more and seeing how it can work. Going into a conversation around business and wanting to understand where's the other person coming from. I'll tell you a really quick funny story, because some of you might think, well, Brigitta, how in the world can I go into a client conversation and know immediately which code they're in? Well, there are two ways you can do this. There's one way you can get the cards, and I'm actually giving away one set of these cards, not just one, but the whole set, of course, for the one that cracks their code first. Now, Trina, I know you cracked your code already, so you're kind of out. Sorry. So whoever cracks their code first, I'm going to put the link in here in the chat box here in a second. Whoever cracks their code first, I'm going to send you a set of these cards, and I usually sell them for $20. In my last webinar, I sell the set $20 plus $5 shipping. So whoever cracks their code first is going to get one of these. So going back to your client, you're going to go into the conversation. You say, hey, Mr. Client, will you do me a favor so I can serve you better and help, and for me to get a better understanding where you're coming from? Would you please read the values on these cards and sort them in order on the values that resonate most with you on the top to the ones that resonate least with you on the bottom. That way, I know how to serve you and talk to you and be able to approach you in the way that you like to be approached according to your values. It's that simple. It has always worked. Well, let me back up. There was one time when I was in the hospital at seeing my hand doctor. I told him, look, Mr. Hand Doctor, Dr. Mills is his name. Dr. Mills, I'm about to go and have a very large event where I will be on stage with 150 people. I cannot be in a cast. He says, what do you do? I say, oh, thank you for asking. I take out my cards, which I always have at least 1 or 2 or 3 sets with me. And I say, would you do me a favor and sort these cards? Of course, Dr. Mills is a hand doctor. He doesn't have a lot of time. He says, no, why don't you explain to me what you do? He had his whole entourage around him, and he had the resident doctor there with him that I just had a very brief 3-minute conversation before the hand specialist, Dr. Mills, came in. And I said, so your resident doctor here, I can't remember his name. He is an action first, he's a nurturer second, he is a blueprint third, and he's a knowledge fourth. Why do I say that? He's an action first because when we had a conversation on what I like to do as a hobby, I said, I love to work out. And he said, I love to work out too. I love to be outside. I love to do adventurous action sports. I love to be free outside. So he gave away a lot of his action values. And that was the first thing that he jumped on. He was so enthusiastic. Plus, he had a really cool, very expensive watch on. I said, that's why he's an action first. He's a nurture second because he took wonderful care of me. I was in bad pain. He took great care of me, and he made sure that I was going to be in less pain. He actually immediately wrote me out a different kind of narcotics, or I don't know what it was, something that made me feel a little bit more numb. than the one that he gave me prior. It made me really nauseous. So nurture second. He's blueprint third. Why? Because he step by step by step let me first through everything that I saw in the x-ray, and then let me through step by step everything that I saw and what happened on the CAT scan. And he very strategically just kind of took his time and let me through all of those steps. And then he told me what they're going to do in order to fix it. And I said, on fourth place, he's knowledge. Now, are his nurturer, blueprint, and knowledge pretty much the same code? Are they pretty much the same high? When you do your assessment, you get a number. Are they pretty much the same high number? Probably so, because he's also very knowledgeable. But he didn't really tap into that knowledge. He taps into that knowledge probably in the OR. And then I just shut up, and everyone was looking at me, and they're like, "You read him like a freaking book." And everyone gave me a round of applause. Dr. Mills said, "Wow, that was incredible. Actually, I have to write a report on him very soon, and I will integrate all of that." And I said, "Dr. Mills, that's a great idea. Let me send you an invoice for $2,000 on that." And we all had a good laugh. And he's bringing me back in, one of the largest hospitals in Atlanta with the biggest trauma center that they have. And I'm going to go and train some of their C-levels. Anyway, so if you're really good in reading the cues, and you get really well when you do the virtual training, when you do the training with me, when you are going deeper into learning more about the blueprint, the action, the nurture, and the knowledge, you can read people like a book, and it almost freaks them out. So I do that sometimes at the airport. It's hysterically funny. Sometimes I just want to say, dude, you're like a AAA. I mean, knock some of the Gucci's and the Rolex and all of that off. I mean, it's just everywhere. Anyway, that's how you can predict where the other person is coming from. Very, very quickly. In the white paper that San Francisco State University has independently put on about this methodology, they are also stating that you can predict buying behavior within 90 seconds. Now, when I read that, I'm going, that's where my knowledge came out and said, are you sure? 90 seconds? But guess what? Yes, with the cards, you can easily do that. I've hijacked Chamber of Commerce, coffees or breakfasts just with the cards, because people ask me, what do you do? And I say, hey, I predict buying behavior within 90 seconds. How do you do that? Well, on top of that, I can also help you increase your sales by 300%. And people are going, nah. And I go, yes, let me show you. So I show them, and now suddenly everyone's around me. They're like, ooh, we're playing a game. I want to play. So the cards, 90 seconds or less. You can do this online. And that's when I said, if you go online and crack your code, whoever's the first one will get the set of cards. Of course, I'll need your address so I can send them to you. And no, actually, let me turn this around. Let me make that the second person that is cracking their code. The second person that's cracking their code today, in the next few minutes, is going to get those cards. The first person to crack their code is going to get a book from me, signed by Sherry Tree, the author of Why They Buy. Sherry and I have become great, great friends. She actually, she's been signing these books for me that I'm sending to everyone that I know, because it's just an incredible book. It's fun to read. It reveals a lot about the methodology, and it makes a big, big difference in people's lives. And it truly is people before profit, because when you serve enough people and you help enough people close more deals, guess what? It's all going to come back to you, just like Zig Ziglar said. So there's, I didn't bring you anything new, but I did bring you a lot of new information. So I'm going to leave it at that today. And we are 2 minutes over, but I'm going to put in this link, mybankcode.com/Hoeferle. All right, and you can just click on that link. So whoever's the first one in the next 5 minutes to crack their code, and that is simply reading the values on the cards and just maneuvering them around. The first one will get the book from me, signed specifically to you. Of course, I'll need I need your email, which you're cracking the code, your email will be in there. And the second one that is cracking their code will get a set of cards from me. And that is it. I'm going to open it up to question and answers. And then we will call it a day because my husband has something planned for me. Lines are open. Don't be shy. Anything that you learned. Let me hear from one person, one thing that you learned today.
But this is a real methodology, and that there's a science.
Yeah, there's a science to the madness and the science behind the genius. I totally agree. And that's why it spoke to me so much, Trina, because, you know, I'm a Montessori educator, and going through the Montessori degree and learning more about the methodology, that took me 3 years. It took me a good year to really learn and go deep into the methodology of bank and to learn more about myself and how can I make me a better person and how can I make a greater effort in understanding the other person that I'm talking to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else want to share something?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, there's definitely power in being able to connect with someone and speak their language, you know, and see things from their lens. And I feel like, you know, when we're communicating, we often forget that. So, yeah, I appreciate that concept.
Yeah, thanks, Phoenix. Yeah, because how often, and I studied communications, and how often is it all about, well, doesn't the other person understand where I'm coming from? Doesn't the other person understand what I'm saying? Are you not hearing what I'm saying? No, it's not about me. It's truly about what's my effort in understanding the other person. And, you know, one last story, and I love telling stories. You guys all know me. One last story. Some of you might know this story already. There was this really cool dude who is an IT guy, and he's gone through the bank methodology, and he said, I am presenting to a large boardroom of a very, very large IT company, and he was about to close a $250,000 IT consultation deal. He was the IT guy, and he came in to help this company. And he's already talked to their, you know, I'm calling them high knowledge people that are completely geeked out, you know, all the super geeks in the IT department. And they said, okay, so the last step, in order for you to get the permission to close that deal, or them to give the permission, you need to present in front of the board of directors. And he says, okay. So he prepared, you know, he had his whole spiel, his whole presentation prepared fully in knowledge, because it was an IT company, right? And the people that he dealt with before were all knowledge people. So he came in and he thought, well, let me just, I assume they're knowledge folks, but let me just code them. So he gave everyone around the boardroom table a set of cards and said, will you do me a favor? For me to serve you better, will you order these cards in order on the values that resonate most with you to the ones that resonate least with you? And everyone did. And guess what? The majority of the boardroom, the people in the boardroom, were nurturers. So what did he do? What do you guys think he did?
Changed his presentation.
Yeah, he totally changed his presentation. He basically shut his laptop, dropped from his head, because that's where knowledge people live. They live fully in their head. He dropped out of his head into his heart, spoke completely from the heart, and closed the $250,000 deal. If he would have completely geeked out in front of the room of nurturers, guess what? Wah, wah, wah. That probably would have not happened. So that's the end of my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. It was lovely to see all of you. Ellen, great seeing you. Always
Nice
lovely.
to meet you.
Yes, in person. Well, not
Yes.
semi.
Yeah. 2D.
So, everyone, we're going to have another webinar next week. I will be traveling most of next week, but just look at my event site on my public figure page and spread the word. Rock and roll, everyone. Thanks. Good seeing everyone. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao.